All right, welcome back, and thank you very much for still being there with us. Like we told you earlier, we're talking about insecurity and the Nigerian economy, challenges of foreign direct investment, Southeast economy, as well as challenges of micro, small and medium-scale enterprises in Nigeria. And with us is a business development strategist and entrepreneur, MAC Atasie. MAC Atasie, good to have you with us.
Thank you for having me.
All right.
Welcome.
To your program.
All right. Nigeria has not had much or attracted much of foreign direct investments, FDI, in recent years. What could be the challenges?
Thank you very much. Okay, so money goes where it is well treated. And being well treated is actually a function of the kind of returns that will come to the person bringing the money. And I think over time, the environment hasn't been that conducive for businesses to deliver the right kind of returns sustainably to their investors. So an investor bringing in cash today is doing it because he believes that over time there will be, the business is putting the money in, will generate very good returns. The environment that makes that happen would include security, stability in policies, and the general macro environment that allows his money to thrive, that allows the businesses he's putting the money in to thrive. And a lot of that, in my opinion, has to do with the ecosystems built around to enable the businesses to do well. So if I bring in my money for a particular sector and I'm going to have to import all the raw materials, and the foreign exchange regime makes that importation difficult for one to see the end. In other words, I may be buying my FX at 420 today, and because of the environment we are facing in Nigeria, that makes very unpredictable for you to say it will still be 420 in another 1 year, in another 2 years, in another 3, or thereabout. It's difficult for me to see through that this money will walk home. And so to bring my money in a very volatile FX environment is suicidal. But there are spots of, successful investments in Nigeria. So, for instance, I can bring my money in when the interest rates are favorable. So I bring in foreign portfolio investment, not foreign direct investment. Foreign portfolio investment is basically very transient. I bring it in, I'm a portfolio guy, I see great opportunity in one country, and I move in there. And so whenever that happens in an environment like Nigeria, for whatever reason, the interest rates begin to look very good versus other economies, people will bring a lot of money, but it's temporary. To bring in for the capital market, but it's temporary. But the patient capital required, which is what will be useful to grow our economy, because I guess that's why you're talking about foreign direct investment, that comes in and stays here and produces results over time. It's difficult for an astute investor in today's world to want to bring his money in here because of the FX environment, because of the security, even though security may not be that strong as much as FX. And, so that's what it is. The day we are able to create an enabling environment, that environment that allows us to be able to do real economic activities, where we produce things, develop services at the right cost, at the right quality and setting. I think we'll begin to have FDI coming in the right
Okay, Mark, you said something, money goes where it is well treated. I want to take this from now. a different angle, because I believe if the people know the value of something, they place that value not just on that thing, but, you know, put you know, plans in place and act towards those plans to make sure that that value stays. Now, according to UNCTAD 2020 World Investment Report, FDI flows to Nigeria totaled $3.3 billion in 2019, now showing a 48.5% decrease compared to the previous year. A full 48, that's like FDI investment, FDI cut in half within just a matter of a year or thereabout. Does Nigeria know what it is losing?
Okay, so I'm very sure Nigeria knows what it is losing. I don't think that there's any leader that you talk to who does not know that we need money to do things. Either as at the federal level or at the various state levels, you need money to do things. And the reality is that the money you need is dollar, FX. I'm using dollar to represent FX. You want to build a power plant, we don't make power plants here. You need FX to bring in the power plant. You want to build any factory that you can use to produce, you will need foreign exchange to buy the components for the factory you need to produce. You want to bring in some very specialized competence, know-how, you need foreign exchange to do that. So I do not think that there's any leader who does not know that the drop in the inflow of FX is a major challenge for us to grow. The reality is, it is the investments we make today in terms of what we use to produce that will attract investments for tomorrow. Okay. All types of investments.
Right. In 2019, you know, Nigeria ranked 131 out of 190 countries rated in the Ease of Doing Business Index. What is the country not doing? Or what can the country do to improve on this rating?
Nice. Okay, so I think ease of doing business comes from various things. Number one, or one of them, is creating an infrastructure that allows me to start my business very quickly, get titles for me to do business, get access to land very quickly, not be confused about what taxes that I pay, not provide my own electricity, not provide my own security, you know, basically things that make life better. And in today's world, I do not need to be carrying paper around to go from one office to the other to the other. I can do things from my computer or from my cell phone. I can fill the forms from my cell phone. I can get my identification done. I can get my monies moved quickly without, you know, moving from one day. I can export easily, so the port system works. I can move from one state to the other without police and lots of intervention on the road. And those interventions are relevant, but they can be done using technology at various other points. So as the vehicle is going, it's already certified that it's supposed to be on the road. And nobody gives, you know. So there, we know what to do. And I believe that there's a struggle to get to do them. In some areas, there has been improvement. It's not been sustained, you know, but we know what to do. If we didn't know, the World Bank has told us that to have right rating on ease of doing business, you must improve on this, improve on this. So we know what to do.
All right. You're someone who has worked with several state governments to develop, you know, their economic strategy for them. And you come from the eastern part of the country. So let's look towards that place very briefly. The Southeast economy and the challenge of development in the Southeast. The current security situation in the Southeast obviously will affect the economics over there. Tell us about that.
Okay, so the security challenge in Nigeria is a national challenge. That's number one. Number two, every country has security issues of their own coloration. I do think that the Southeast has sufficient attractiveness for those with capital, those with skill, to want to come to do business in the Southeast. Number one, we currently have 3 of the topmost commercial centers in Nigeria. You have Aba, you have Onitsha, you have Nnewi. The other 3, Kano, Abuja, Lagos, and all that. People know that the best place to make money and to do business is in a commercial city. So we have that natural environment to do that. We have a population of about 40 million captive, but we have an entrepreneurial population. That entrepreneurial population is able to attract investments if well positioned. The investor would like to know, so what can you offer me? And so what I have said to people is that the new Southeast that we are beginning to see is one that if you have funds, you will note, for instance, we don't have functional rail lines, but we need to move our goods around. In the new world we are going into, technology is very important. We have a lot of ICT hubs with a lot of youths that are ICT competent. Now, what does that mean? It means that we can export these skills while they are still in Nigeria. We build them up. So if we had broadband circling the whole of the Southeast, it means that outsourcing of banking support, outsourcing of supporting retail chains all over the world can be done from Nigeria because we have the infrastructure and the youth who can make those happen. Our youth will be cheaper than youth in other places.
Because I'm wondering, when you move into the Southeast part of the country, you see a lot of creative and talented people who have, over the years, demonstrated capacity to, come up with products. Why is it taking time, for the governments, for the private sector players in that part of the country, and even the federal government to intervene in ensuring that places like Aba and Nnewi are developed into industrial hubs?
Okay, so I am aware that several programs of the country have identified those 2 locations for industrial hubs. I'm aware that the federal government, the SMEDAN, the Bank of Industry, have it in their plans to build industrial clusters, because that's one way that China grew, right? They had to eliminate the rubbish around the economy and concentrate those creatives into one location and give them everything, light, security, etc., etc. So I'm aware that those things are in the programs of the country. And I'm also aware they have tried a few times. Recently, I spoke with a key director in the World Bank, and I said, you guys have done a lot of research about us in the Southeast. It's time for us to begin to move. And I gave an example. I said, we have over 100,000 shoemakers in Aba. We also have over 50,000 garments makers in Aba. The problem why we may not get the right kind of investment is that most of them serve the Nigerian market. There are few people in Nigeria that will pay you more than $5 to buy a pair of shoes. You will spend $4 or so to make the shoes. And you say, so you don't really have any margins. So if I am a businessman, why would I go and invest there? Government would like to do it, but government has lots of other things they want to spend their money on. I see this as private business opportunity. So what my view really is that the ecosystem for producing certain things, so use shoe as an example, that we all talk about for Aba, can be exploited by selling to the rest of the world. And by the way, nobody becomes rich by selling to himself. So I would expect that our businessmen, including myself, and I'm doing that. I was in Kano last week trying to create an environment for Aba to take advantage of the leather environment in Kano so that we can begin to sell to the rest of the world. Now, let me tell you this. Last year, $365 billion was spent on shoes globally. 24 billion pairs of shoes were sold globally. Africa uses 1.6 pairs of shoes per person. America has 6 pairs per person. America has given us, under the AGOA opportunity, the chance to bring in shoes at a reduced rate from a duty point of view. We have cheap labor here, as we know. We have the low currency, low exchange rate, as we know. We can produce cheaper than any other person in the world. China produces shoes for the rest of the world, but China is reducing in their interest in that kind of area. There's a great opportunity for us, because whoever will invest in that sector, as you alluded to now, wants to see value and wants to see a formula that if I put my money in Aba leather, I will get good.
Well, I'm thinking that government policies, and initiatives, interventions, can come into play here to assist these entrepreneurs, reduce their cost of production, so that they can produce cheaper and as well, sell cheaper, within their production points.
Okay, so you are right. Government should, and government has Nexim Bank that can help them produce for export. Government has NEPSI that can help to produce for export. Government has Midan and Bank of Industry that can help you to produce for domestic and export and all that. So government has policies. My view is that the issue is not government policies. It is execution of those policies. And I think execution should be driven by the value both government and the businessmen see, because it's a combination of both.
Okay, what would you identify as the major challenges of, you've talked very broadly about a lot of them, but I want us to focus a little bit on MSMEs right now. The major challenges, there's funds, there's environmental challenge, there's electricity challenge that seems to affect every other thing, every single business that we can think of in Nigeria. As an incubator yourself and a major player in that sector, how do we turn these challenges around to benefit us?
Okay, so solving the problem of MSMEs is not one thing. It's a combination of several. But I would always say that their problem will remain until the currency of the economy is strong.
Can you explain that?
Okay. See, we live in a society where we get poorer every day. So if an MSME, and why do we get poor every day? Because the watch you wear wasn't made here, the glasses you wear wasn't made here, etc. We are a part of an interconnected global society. We must have our own foreign exchange in our hands to be able to buy those of others. Most of the things we produce, we import the raw materials. We import the machinery. We pay for know-how. And we don't have a strong currency. We cannot have a strong currency until we begin to reduce what we import and significantly increase what we export. It is a macro problem. So even if we gave them money today and you use it to buy raw materials at $500, and by the time you want to export, it's gone higher, and so on and so forth, you are in. So I believe that the real problem will be the strategy of the nation on how to begin to export. There was something I wanted you to show, but I don't know if they gave that to you.
No, we'll show it. We saw some of it earlier. Sure, it will go on.
So we basically must have a development strategy for the country that recognizes that the economy of Nigeria is what determines what the shoemaker makes, what the SME makes. Because at the end of the day, if I make a pair of shoes and sell to you at 2,000 naira, that's what you make as the shoemaker.
Nigeria recently, endorsed the African Free Trade Agreement after taking a while to consider its pros and cons. How is the country faring, in its participation of that deal, and how is it going to, turn things around in terms of the business climates in the country?
Okay, so free trade zones or free trade zone areas are not new. NAFTA is one, SADC is another one. SADC is South Africa, NAFTA is American. So they are very good in creating mass of buyers right? So you have access to a large market space. So it's beautiful. Even, they said if the best time to have done something was 10 years ago, the next best time is now. So the government has done it, and now we are where we are. But remember that we have had access to the American economy for some 40-something products under AGOA. We didn't exploit it, right? Is that going to change for Nigeria? Sorry, for the NAFTA, after issue?
Exactly.
I do not think it will change that easily, okay? Because the challenges of productivity are heavy. The damage done to the fabric of our economic productivity is very high. No electricity, government policies, the civil service that is supposed to support you, you don't pay them well, you can't pay them well because you don't have the money to pay them well, and so on and so forth. It's a difficult situation. So I will subscribe to us as a nation have a Marshall Plan around 3 to 10 areas. Anybody can do whatever he likes, but the federal government, the state governments focus on specific areas and say, we want to find how we can be among the top 3 producers of this for the rest of the world, including the African environment. Because whatever you spend your energy trying to do well, when you become good at it, people will go for it. Now, there's that one, I don't know who will show it. So there's a diagram I normally show called the value diagram, right? Why will people buy the Nigerian produce? Not because we are part of Africa. That emotion doesn't go too far to bring business for you. It's because you produce things at a better price. You produce the right quality.
Value innovation model.
Excellent, but it's not showing fully. Okay, so there's the top part, which is your cost must come down and your value must go up. Better than others that will do the same thing. So in spite of all limitations, Nigeria must find a way to choose a few things and give it a Marshall focus and say, we know that there are $365 billion of shoes in the world. We want to produce cheaper than China and produce at the right price. Now, what is that? The machinery, we can buy it, right? We can have a cluster where we put everything. The Abia state government has seeded one of that in Abia, promoted it, and so we have, I believe, the first most mechanized shoe factory in this part of the world.
All right. I want to see if you can
so much to talk about.
Keep going on, but I'm sure you have another opportunity to dwell on this. Thank you so much. We appreciate your time. MAC Atasie, a business development strategist and entrepreneur who has done a lot of consultancy work for several state governments in Nigeria. We appreciate your time on the program this morning.
Thank you very much, Mr. Atasie. Good to have you with us. All right, don't go anywhere just yet. Kakaki returns in a moment, and some of this problem will be easily solved by leadership. But let's talk about that when we come back with Linus Okore.